Hey everybody, Clint Swindoll here with this 5th video in the Tell Me Something Good video series brought to you by Virginia Beach Economic Development. Okay, here we are at the 3rd aspect in the simple formula. We looked at the S, stop wallowing around in the crud, and introduced 2 simple behaviors to help you do that. We looked at the I, initiate relationships with positive people, and introduced 2 simple behaviors to help you do that as well. Now let's look at the M in the simple model. The M stands for manage your information flow. This is important because the information we consume has an incredible impact on us. It helps determine our outlook, which significantly affects our personal and professional lives. And when you think about it, the amount of information we consume daily is enormous. The digital devices we carry are constantly buzzing, dinging, blinking, beeping, or ringing to get our attention. Information is flooding in faster than we can read it, watch it, or listen to it. We're drowning in information. Information overload is easy to believe when you consider that content creation is higher than it's ever been. Technology has made it possible for anyone with a cell phone and an idea to share it with the world. If you need to build something, fix something, clean something, or grow something, you can figure out how to do it within minutes. Without question, valuable content is making us smarter, but it's eating up our time. The problem for many is the smart device we carry. Between my phone and all my other devices, the technology around me allows me to access that information whenever I want. I seldom disconnect from these devices. For me, technology starts the day. My phone wakes me up with an alarm, then immediately provides the email that came in overnight. An app tells me what to expect with the weather, while another directs me where I need to go in the least amount of traffic. The device guides me through the entire day. I'm guessing that's the case for a lot of people. While access to information and helpful technology is great, the vast amounts of information available is consuming an enormous amount of our time. More importantly, it's consuming an enormous amount of our attention. With so many options from entertainment to education, we have a responsibility to consciously think about what information we should consume and not consume. We could fill an entire day just jumping from content to content. This explains why so many people struggle with monitoring the information that flows to them. And I happen to be one of those who struggles with it. I struggle with it because I appreciate the convenience of the technology I just mentioned. Along with the technology comes an avalanche of information and a responsibility to manage it. So how do we manage our information flow? 2 things. First, search out positive content for encouragement. Some of the content we have at our fingertips is valuable, and some of it is an enormous waste of time. The content we choose to consume is essential. It's vital to our personal and professional development. If you want to help overcome the negativity around you, be intentional about taking in positive messaging. How can you do that? Read inspirational books when you have time to read. Listen to positive podcasts when you're working out. Select positive music and listen to it on your commute to work. The world likely won't place positive messaging in front of you. You must be intentional about searching it out. If you need some help finding a really positive podcast, here's a place I suggest you start. It's a podcast called Tell Me Something Good. Each week a new episode comes out. The goal is to engage the mind, encourage the heart, or enlighten the soul of listeners by shining a light on all that is good in an ever-darkening world. The host does it by sharing some content, sharing some news from around the world, and issuing a challenge to listeners to do something specific to enhance their lives. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to findthegoodinlife.com for a link to listen online. I don't know for sure, but I hear it's really good. Go check it out. The second thing you need to do is disconnect from negative content. While you are intentional about consuming positive messaging, you must be intentional about not consuming negative information. Where do we get the negative information? Well, everywhere, quite frankly. The primary source of negative content in my life is the news. I read somewhere that 90% of the news is negative, and I believe that to be true. Now, to be clear, I don't consider the news to be negativity, because by my definition, negativity is the combination of constant complaining and excessive pessimism. Now, I don't believe news outlets constantly complain or are excessively pessimistic. I do believe the news outlets are a primary source of negative content, which leads people to constantly complain and to be excessively pessimistic. So why is the news a source of negative content? Well, news producers know the negativity bias in most humans will have them pay more attention to negative information than positive information. So they give it to us. We can limit the impact of negative information by limiting what we consume. We should limit the amount of time we spend taking in the news or listening to talk radio. We should limit the amount of time we spend scrolling through social media. Consider the lyrics of the music you choose, because music influences emotions. While the adage of garbage in, garbage out may have been intended for software development, it is equally relevant to personal growth. Be intentional about the information you let in. So there you have it. 2 simple behaviors to manage your information flow. Search out positive content for encouragement and disconnect from negative content. This is perhaps one of the easiest aspects of the simple model, because we can control that without significant influence from others. Although we can control it, it will require us to do some new things. Although you'll plan to listen to a positive podcast on your commute, you'll start listening to a playlist out of habit that may not be filling your head with anything inspirational. While you may say you'll disconnect from negative information, you'll find yourself scrolling through a social media feed, reading about whatever everyone else is complaining about, because that's what you do every day. Before you know it, something that sounded so easy is now left behind. While we don't have complete control over what information reaches us, we do have control over what we choose to consume. Since the chance of good, uplifting information just landing in our lap is highly unlikely, we need to search it out. One of the most common questions I get is this: where do I go to get some positive encouragement? I mentioned several in this video. Read inspirational books, listen to positive podcasts, select positive music, find an inspirational app that will deliver daily words of encouragement. It's all out there if you're willing to search for it. It is my hope you will go find what works for you. To help get you started, I have a list of podcasts and books. If you go to findthegoodinlife.com/VBED, you can download the list. There are a bunch of good books and podcasts available, and hopefully these will get you started. So before you move on to the next video, download it. Give the podcasts a listen. Check out the books, and then go in search of others. Taking these simple steps will have an impact on you by providing positive content for encouragement. And before we end this module, I want you to take a moment to think about something. At this very moment, there are tons of people watching Netflix. There are tons of people playing a video game, and you, well, you're focused on your personal development. That's why you'll come out ahead this year. I'll see you in the next video.